this week's Ask Me Anything, someone asked me to do a rig rundown. So it was my good friend Norm Archer Rock asked me to do a rig rundown of my pedal board and stuff like that. So I'm going to try and do my best. This is the pedal board I have. It's a really light frame made by a company called Ghostfire. Yeah, pretty straightforward pedal board. It's got Velcro all over it on the front, which is great, and then it comes with a load of Velcro straps that attach to the bottom of the pedals, which I will be doing today during this as well. It also, as you may have saw, has Velcro underneath that, so you can attach the power supply to the bottom. That's quite an important thing, depending on the power supply you have. So, first thing you'll notice on my pedal board is I have a TU2, Boss TU2. That is my tuner pedal. It's not the best. It does have a little bit of a tone suck, which basically means that it's buffer. It doesn't have enough to drive the power all the way through to the amp, so it will cause a little bit of tone suck. Here's a nice little useful tip if you do use any kind of Bose pedals. So I use their TU2 and I use their Super Chorus. I really like the Super Chorus. So one of the things when it comes to sticking pedal boards onto pedals onto boards, obviously both Boss have this like embossed DAC, which makes it quite difficult to attach your Velcro, and your Velcro often comes loose, hence why that's all sticky and horrible. The trick is to turn the base plate upside down and attach your Velcro there. That way you've got a nice smooth flat surface. From there it goes into my compressor, which is a Dynacomp, an MXR Dynacomp. I love the MXR pedals. They're so well made, good robust pedals, real solid structure and chassis, that's the word. They just got great sounds to them. So the compressor is there to kind of just balance out the highs and the lows and kind of squash them a little bit. So, you know, my lows are a little bit more in keeping with the rest of my volume level, and my big stabs and stuff like that aren't too peaky. And it just means that my line's a little bit more balanced. From the Dynacomp, I go into a distortion-free, MXR distortion-free. Again, I love MXR pedals. Wonderful, wonderful pedals. I really liked the Distortion 3. I'm a big fan of the Distortion Plus as well. But yeah, on this pedal board, it's a distortion-free. Great tone. Again, another great tone. Now, what you'll also notice in the next one is I also have a Ibanez Tube Screamer, so it's a TS9. A lot of people put them the other way around, so obviously you notice there's two distortion pedals, one next to each other. A lot of the time you do that because you want to boost, you want to have a little bit of a lift for like solos and stuff like that, or a bit more of crunch here and there. I've put the Tube Screamer after the distortion free for a very specific reason, and that's because over the years I've noticed that a Tube Screamer has a very good ability to embellish and enhance the qualities of the pedal before it. So if you put the Tube Screamer first, it has its own lovely tone and all that sort of stuff, which is great, but if you put it after, the tone of the distortion in front of it will be actually enhanced by the tone of the Tube Screamer after. So I tend to use the Tube Screamer second in that line. I've then got my MXR 10 band EQ. That is my solo lift. I have the middle frequencies boosted because a guitar is obviously a middle frequency instrument typically, and I have that just boosted a few dB in terms of volume, and then that just gives me a slight lift for my solos and really makes sure they stand out. From the band EQ, we go into the Super Chorus, the Boss Super Chorus. Another really great pedal. Boss are great. They really do release some great stuff, and a lot of pros use Boss stuff. I think their chorus is lovely. So again, really nice little pedal. Boss are pretty solid made as well. Good chassis on them. From the Super Chorus into my Noble tremolo. Yeah, what a great effect that is. That was a pedal I was given a long, long time ago, and it's fantastic. Um, really great effect, and Noble are a great brand as well. So yeah, definitely. If you haven't tried a Noble pedal before, definitely do. Good thing about those again, they're also top loaded in terms of how you insert, and in terms of how your cables connect in and out, it all comes in through the top. That makes it a little bit easier for your pedal board because you can get them a bit closer to the next pedal. So that's another thing you could look out for with pedal boards is to go in through the top rather than in through the side like most pedals do. So you'll notice that we kind of have like your compression pedal, distortions, EQ I've put there just for my boost. From the EQ I then have modulation pedals, so that's my chorus and my tremolo, and then from there we have your delays and your reverbs. They're the last two bits. There is a reason for that, and like pedal order is really, really important. You don't want to end up distorting your delay, or maybe you do, but it's not a common practice. It's obviously you can try and do things the opposite way around and find your own tones. But to distort a delay is kind of a nasty thing on a lot of occasions. So you tend as a general rule to put delays and reverbs towards the end. My delay is a MXR carbon copy. I love that pedal. It's the analog design. Such a great delay pedal, and I know some people don't get on with them. I like the fact it's got the modulation ability on there as well, but for me it just sounds like a really good natural delay, and I'm a big fan of MXR. And then finally, my reverb, my universal audio pedal is the Golden Reverberator. What a beautiful reverb. When I was up there so I was at Anderton's trying out reverbs, and I tried out the Strymon Blue Sky, which for a lot of people is the top reverb out there. I loved the Blue Sky, don't get me wrong. From what I do, for what I write and what I create, the UA Golden just suited what I do a little bit better. Right, power supplies. My power supply, an MXR ISO Brick Pro. Two real kind of key things about power supplies. One is called a linear power supply. So a linear power supply typically uses something called a toroidal transformer. Toroidal transformers do generate an electromagnetic field, which not always, but can cause some interference and some excess noise through your pedal chain. The other thing that you can get is called a switch mode, which basically means it will look at whatever type of power it has coming into it, and it will automatically convert it to a suitable format. And most switch mode power supplies are isolated power supplies, and that's really what people need. So with the linear, not only do you have the electromagnetic field, and DC bricks also have what they call a shared earth or a shared ground, which then also can add an excess bit of noise. Whereas isolated powers have individually fed grounds and earths. So it takes away that excess noise and that excess hum that you get through pedals if they're sharing power supplies, which is one of the reasons why you shouldn't really daisy chain power supplies as well for pedals. It just creates excess noise. The other thing to consider, there is a potential that if you do not do your wiring properly or carefully enough, that it can also introduce excess noise. It's not too much typically, it's just a little bit. It also depends on the type of power you're running again, so if it's AC then there's more chance than if you're using DC. What I would say with that is if you do have to cross audio cables with power cables, try and do them at perpendicular angles, because that will reduce any kind of issue with regards to interference and noise, excess noise. If they do parallel, then those two, again, electromagnetic field will carry across both cables. Whereas if it's perpendicular, then that also will then reduce because that point of contact between the pedals is not going along the line, it's going straight across, and it's only a single tiny bit of electromagnetic field, which again should reduce any excess noise. This one's quite a long one today, guys, so thank you for listening. Hopefully that was interesting, and hopefully that's provided you with a bit more information and knowledge as to how and why you should build a pedal board in a particular way. But yeah, that's a good idea and a good starting point, at least for anyone who's looking into buying and building pedal boards. Cool. Thank you for listening, and catch you soon. Cheers.